A soulless Greek billionaire, an invisible waitress, a look, a forbidden passion, and a pregnancy that destroyed everything with 3 words. Who is it? That night, she disappeared. 4 years later, fate took care of it, and neither was ready. Santorini, where the blue of the sea meets the white of the houses, and the sun seems to burn closer to the skin. A Greek paradise built on a dormant volcano. The helicopter cut the sky like a black blade. Haris Drakos did not warn when he arrived. To warn was to give time to lie, to hide, to pretend incompetence. He preferred panic. He preferred to see the raw truth in the faces of those who failed. The Imperial Drakos was the jewel of his empire's crown. 5 stars. View of the volcanic cauldron. Suites that cost more than most people earned in a year. And in the last 3 months, an inexplicable fall in ratings. Unacceptable. The propellers still spun when he jumped. Dark, impeccable, without a tie. Black hair whipped by the wind. Closed jaw. His eyes, gray as a storm over the Aegean, already scanned the entrance like a predator assessing the territory. The manager ran to him, sweating cold, throwing off run-down excuses. Harris passed by him without even taking a step, as if the man did not exist. Emily Dawson pushed the cleaning cart down the corridor on the 3rd floor when she heard the whispers. "He's here. Drakos himself. God, we're all dead." She did not understand the panic. It was just another manager, wasn't it? Another arrogant man who looked through her as if waitresses were part of the furniture. Emily was used to being invisible. In fact, she preferred it that way. She kept working. Room 312. Impeccable sheets. Towels folded into swan shapes. The bathroom items aligned to the millimeter. She was proud of her own work, even if no one noticed. No one ever noticed. Haris climbed the stairs instead of using the elevator. He wanted to see everything, every corner, every flaw, and he found several. A vase of withered flowers at the reception, a stain on the carpet on the 2nd floor, an employee on their personal phone when they should be working. He mentally wrote down every name, every face. There would be consequences. On the 3rd floor, he turned the corridor and stopped. A woman was ahead of him. Gray uniform, brown hair stuck in a loose bun with strands escaping at the nape. She tidied up the cleaning cart with precise movements, almost mechanical. There was something about her. Harris frowned. He didn't look at employees. It was a rule. Employees were problems, processes, scandals, complications. He had access to the most beautiful women in the world. Models, actresses, heiresses, women who knew the rules of the game. But his feet didn't move. Emily turned around, and the air changed. She wasn't conventionally dazzling. It wasn't the kind of beauty that screamed. It was the kind that whispered. Big brown eyes with a wound deep within. High cheekbones. A mouth too full for such a delicate face. And an expression of surprise that turned into something he didn't see often. Nothing. She didn't recognize him. There were no wide eyes, no stiffening of posture, nor the nervous smile he received from all the employees. That irritated him and fascinated him. "Miss," his voice was low, serious, with an accent that carried centuries of Greek arrogance. Emily blinked. "Sir, can I help you?" Polite, professional, distant. Ares approached. 1 step. 2. "Is this floor your responsibility?" "Yes, sir. Room 315. There is a stain on the bathroom mirror." Her eyes narrowed, almost imperceptibly. "I cleaned the 315 for 20 minutes. There was no stain. A challenge, subtle but present." Ares felt something awakening in his chest, something dangerous. "Are you calling me a liar?" "I'm saying I do my job right." The silence spread between them. He should fire her. Any other employee who answered like that would be on the street in seconds. But his mouth didn't form the words. Instead, he saw himself doing something that wasn't part of the plan. "Show me." Emily didn't understand what was happening. The man was too tall, too close, and he looked at her in a way that made her skin tingle. She guided him to room 315, each step conscious, each breath measured. He opened the door. He entered the bathroom. He looked in the mirror. Impeccable. "There is no stain," she said, turning, and he was right behind her. The bathroom was big, but suddenly it seemed tiny. His perfume, woody, expensive, masculine, it invaded her senses. "I know," he said. The confession disarmed her. "So why?" "Because you intrigue me." His eyes went down her face, slowly, as if he were memorizing every detail. Emily felt her heart beating. This was wrong, dangerous. "I need to get back to work." She tried to move past him, but he didn't move. "What's your name?" "Does it matter?" It shouldn't. The answer was too honest, too crude. She looked up into those gray eyes that seemed to see through her. "Emily," she whispered, without knowing why. He repeated the name, low, as if he were testing the word on his tongue. "Emily." The air between them became electric. He raised his hand. His finger stopped a millimeter from her face, almost touching. Almost. Emily held her breath, and then he retreated. One step. The spell broken. "Get back to work," he said. The voice controlled, but the eyes told another story. Emily left the bathroom with her legs shaking. When she got to the corridor, she heard the voice of the shuddering manager behind her. "Do you know who that man is?" She shook her head. The manager went pale. "Harris Dracos, the owner of all this." Emily's stomach knotted. And somewhere behind her, in the presidential suite, the predator smiled. He had found something much more interesting than operational failures. He had found prey. 3 months. That was how long the paradise lasted. Emily woke up every morning thinking it was a dream. The huge bed, the silk sheets, Horace's arm around her waist, possessive even in sleep. The wedding took place 2 weeks after that first meeting in the corridor. Small ceremony, sunset in Santorini, she in a simple white dress, he with hungry eyes. "You are mine now," he had said at the altar, not as a promise, as a fact, and Emily believed him. She believed when he took her to see the world in private jets. She believed when he looked at her from the other side of the table, as if she were the only woman that existed. She believed when he whispered words in Greek against her skin at dawn. Words that she did not understand, but felt. She did not want the money. She did not want the jewelry, the dresses, the unlimited cards. She wanted only him. And for 3 months, she had him. The envelope arrived on a Tuesday. Horace was in the penthouse office when Dmitri, his personal assistant, entered with the correspondence. Between contracts and reports, a white envelope from a medical laboratory, a routine exam. He did it every year. Since 22, when a motorcycle accident almost killed him, and the doctors gave the diagnosis, irreversible sterility, permanent damage. He had accepted this a long time ago. He accepted that he would never have biological heirs. He accepted that his empire would die with him or go to strangers' hands. It was a fact, cold, unchangeable. He opened the envelope without expectation. Read once. Read again. The results were identical to those of all previous years. 0 count. Non-existent mobility. Final conclusion. Biologically impossible natural conception. Horace threw the paper in the drawer and forgot about it. On the same day, Emily vomited for the 3rd morning in a row. She knew what that meant. The body knew before the mind accepted. She bought the hidden test. She did it alone in the bathroom of the suite. She waited the longest 3 minutes of her life. 2 lines, her hands trembled, her eyes burned. Pregnant, a son, his son. Emily's heart exploded with a joy she didn't know she could feel. She imagined Harris's face when he knew. The shock, then the smile. That rare smile he only showed her when no one was looking. They would be a family. She planned everything. Special dinner, candles. The test wrapped in a velvet box as if it were a jewel. Because it was. The most precious jewel she could give. Harris arrived late that night. Tired. Tense. Some problem with an acquisition in Asia that required his attention. Emily waited for him in the dining room. Nervous, radiant, the blue dress he liked, the box hidden behind her back. "You're being strange," he said, frowning. "I have a surprise." She extended the box, her fingers trembling with anxiety. Harris opened it slowly. He saw the test, the 2 lines, and the world froze. Emily waited for the smile, the joy, the hug, but his face did not move. His eyes, those gray eyes that usually looked at her hungrily, were empty. Then they slowly froze. "Harris." Her voice was small, confused. He dropped the box on the table. The test fell. The sound was too loud in the silence. "Whose is it?" The question did not make sense. "What?" "The baby." His voice was unrecognizable, low, mortal. "Whose is it?" Emily felt the floor disappear. "It's yours, Harris." "Of course it's yours. Do not lie to me." He got up. The chair scratched the marble. The sound cut the air like glass breaking. "I'm sterile, Emily. I always have been. I have records, exams, tests. Each word was a bullet. So tell me, who is the father?" "Nobody. Harris, I never—" "Who is this baby?" The scream echoed through the walls. Emily retreated. Tears flowed without permission. I swear by everything. There was never anyone but you. Never." "The doctors must be wrong. It happens, Harris, please." She tried to touch him. He moved away as if her hand were burning. 4 years, he said. The voice was now too low, too dangerous. 4 years living with the certainty that I could not be a father. I accepted it. I swallowed it. And you show up with this lie. It's not a lie. So what is it? A miracle? His laugh was bitter, poisoned. You saw an opportunity. The waitress who snared the billionaire. Did you think I was an idiot? Did you think I would not find out? Emily felt her heart break. Not into pieces, into dust. "Harris! I love you." The words came out broken, desperate. He looked at her as if she were a stranger. Worse, as if she were an enemy. "You have an hour to leave my house." Emily did not beg, but she wanted to. She wanted to like a drowning person. She wanted to grab his shirt, to fall at his feet, to scream until her throat tore. She wanted to scream that the baby was his. She wanted to beg for a look. She wanted to beg for a millimeter of faith. She wanted to beg for anything. But what she found in Horace's eyes killed everything. There was no doubt. There was no love. There was not even anger. There was contempt. Pure, cutting, mortal. And something inside her, something she didn't even know she still had, simply broke. It didn't crack. It didn't fracture. It broke. She packed her suitcase with trembling hands, a handful of clothes that barely represented a life. The room seemed smaller. The air seemed heavier. The silence seemed like a sentence. The wedding dress was hanging in the closet, immaculate, useless, a cruel reminder that she had believed, had dreamed, had loved the wrong man. Dimitri came in, papers in hand, divorce, a settlement, a financial agreement so high it seemed like a joke. Emily faced the numbers, millions, money to buy a comfortable future, or to erase her existence from his memory, and Ares didn't even have the courage to look at her when he handed over those numbers. She took the pen. Her hand wavered. Her vision was blurred. Her heart seemed to break her ribs, but her voice came out firm, even while bleeding. "I don't want anything. Nothing that comes from him." She risked everything. She only signed the papers. The coldest end that a love could have. At the door, she looked back. Just once. Ares was at the window, from behind, immobile, indifferent. He didn't turn, didn't call, didn't ask for explanations. It was as if she were nobody, as if she had never existed. Emily placed her hand on her belly, still invisible, and for the first time that night, something inside her lit up. Fierce, maternal, violent. I will protect you. Against everything, against everyone, even against him. She left. Alone. The night of Santorini swallowed Emily as she walked. Each step was a goodbye that no one heard. The wind hit her face hard, as if paradise itself were expelling her. The sky was beautiful, and for the first time, it seemed like a cruelty. Paradise was over, and the nightmare began in that exact second. 4 years. 1460 days of restarting. Emily learned to count time in another way, not in weeks or months, but in small achievements. Leo's first smile, the first steps, the first words. Mom! That word was worth more than any empire. The apartment in Whitechapel was tiny. 1 room, a kitchen that served as the living room, windows that looked out onto a gray alley. The heater failed in winter, and the walls were too thin, but it was theirs. Emily worked as a housekeeper at the Harrington, a boutique hotel in Kensington. It was not glamorous. It was not the Imperial Dracos. It was perfect. There, no one knew her. No one asked about her past. No one looked at her with pity or curiosity. She was just Emily, single mother, hard-working, invisible, just the way she had to be. Leo slept on her lap in the crowded subway at 6 in the morning, 3.5 years old. Dark hair like the night, long eyelashes that cast shadows on his cheeks. And when he opened his eyes, Emily saw the Aegean in a storm, his father's eyes. She tried not to think about it. She tried to see only Leo, her son, her miracle. The only good thing that Santorini had left. But sometimes, when he frowned, focused on a drawing, or crossed his arms, Emily saw the ghost of another face, and it hurt. It hurt like a wound that never healed properly. The rumors began on a Monday. Emily was in the hotel dressing room when she heard 2 colleagues talking. It looks like we're being sold. Again. The Harrington? That's what they're saying. A huge Greek group. They're buying everything in London. Emily froze. Greek group. Her hand stopped at the button of her uniform. What's the name? Her voice came out strangled. Dracos, I think. Or something like that. The world lost its sound. Dracos. No, it can't be. London is huge. There are dozens of hotels. He wouldn't come here. Not to a small boutique hotel. It doesn't make sense. But fear didn't listen to logic. Emily spent the whole week in silent panic, checking the news, searching her old cell phone during lunch breaks. Each mention of the Dracos group made her stomach sink. They were expanding. Europe, America, Asia. The empire had tripled since she left. And Ares? Emily didn't allow herself to look for him. She didn't want to see his face. She didn't want to know if there was another woman, another marriage, another life. But now, lying at night with Leo breathing next to her, she couldn't help it. She typed the name on her cell phone. The screen shone in the dark. Ares Dracos, Greek magnate, expands hotel empire in aggressive acquisition across Europe. The photo was of him at some gala event. Dark skin, stony expression, the gray eyes that haunted her in her nightmares. He hadn't changed. No, he had gotten worse. Harder, colder, a sharper jaw, deeper shadows under his eyes. Emily closed the page. Her heart was beating fast. He won't come. Not here. It would be too much of a coincidence. She almost believed it. 2 weeks later, the bomb dropped. Confirmed, said the manager at the morning meeting. The Harrington was sold to the Dracos Group. The transition starts today. The floor disappeared under Emily's feet. Today. Today. The new owner is coming in person to sign the documents, continued the manager. Emily, 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 Emily. And then the doors of the lobby opened. The air changed. It was as if all the electricity in the building had been sucked toward a single point. The employees straightened up. Voices died. Silence spread like a wave. Emily turned slowly, and there he was. Ares Dracos, 4 years older, infinitely more dangerous. The custom suit shaped his body like armor. His broad shoulders blocked the light from the entrance. His posture was that of one who owned not only the hotel, but the very air everyone breathed. He entered like an emperor entering conquered territory. His gray eyes swept the lobby, each employee, each corner, each shadow, and they stopped on her. The recognition was immediate. Emily saw the exact moment he identified her. The slight narrowing of the eyes, the jaw locking, the lips curving into something that was not a smile. It was something worse. It was possession. "I found you," said that look. "You cannot run anymore." Emily could not move, nor breathe, nor think. 4 years running away, 4 years hiding. And now in the lobby of a hotel in London, the predator had cornered her again. Aries smiled. The smile of a wolf that finds the stray sheep. And Emily knew with cold certainty that her invisible life had ended. Time stopped. Or maybe it was just Emily's heart that had forgotten how to beat. Aries crossed the lobby with slow, deliberate steps, each step a warning, each meter between them a threat. The employees moved out of the way like water opening for a warship. Emily wanted to run. Every cell of her body screamed to escape, but her legs had turned to concrete, her feet roots chiseled in marble. He stopped 2 meters from her, too close, too far. His perfume crossed the distance, woody, expensive, familiar in a way that made her stomach turn. Emily Dawson. The voice was exactly as she remembered. Serious, controlled, able to make her name sound like a sentence. Mr. Dracos. She did not know where the firmness came from. Maybe from the 4 years of learning to survive. Maybe from the face of Leo floating in her mind. Maybe just from pride. The only thing he had not been able to take away. Aries bowed his head, studying her. "Housekeeper." The corner of his mouth ticked up. What an interesting fall. The manager appeared next to them, breathless and nervous. "Mr. Dracos, it's an honor. If you want, I can show you the facilities." "Later." A single word. The manager retreated as if he had been slapped. Aries did not avert his eyes from Emily. "It seems that fate has a sense of humor," he said. "Of all cities, of all hotels." "Coincidence," she replied. "I do not believe in coincidences." The silence between them weighed tons. The other employees watched, trying to understand, feeling the tension without knowing the source. To them, it was just the new boss talking to a housekeeper. They did not know they were witnessing the reunion of an earthquake. Aries took another step. Now, Emily could see the thin lines around his eyes, the gray strands at the temples that did not exist before, the permanent crease between his eyebrows. 4 years had taken a toll on him, too. But the coldness was the same. "You look tired," he observed. The tone was casual, the words daggers. Emily raised her chin. "Hard work does that." "Oh yes, honest work." The irony dripped from every syllable. "How long until you find another billionaire to distract?" The accusation hit her in the chest. "I never—" "No," he cut her off. His voice was too low for others to hear. "Not here. Not in front of my employees." My employees. The reminder was intentional. She worked for him now, again, the cruel irony of the universe. Aries got closer. Too close. The heat of his body invading her space. Emily retreated. Her back found the wall, cornered. He put a hand on the marble next to her head. Casual to those watching from the outside. Too intimate for those who felt it. "You ran away," he whispered. "Only for her. In the middle of the night without leaving a trace. I should be offended. You expelled me. And you disappeared so fast you barely left dust." His eyes went down her face, to her neck. They returned to her eyes. "I wonder why. What were you hiding, Emily?" Her heart raced. Leo. The name pulsed in her mind like an alarm. He could not know. Never. "I was not hiding anything. I was surviving. With my money? I did not take your money. The statement gave him pause. For a second. Only a second. True, he admitted. You tore up the agreement as if it were dirty paper. Very dramatic, very noble. His mouth twisted. Or very smart. What? Maybe you knew it would seem more innocent to refuse. Maybe you were playing the long game. Emily felt her anger rise. You are sick, and you are a liar. Their faces were too close. His breath hit her skin. Warm, rhythmic. Just like before, like when he whispered that he loved her in the early hours in Santorini. But now there was no love in those eyes. Just ice. Ares moved away as abruptly as he had approached. From now on, he said loud enough for everyone to hear, I want a complete report of all operations. Each sector, each employee. His gaze returned to Emily. No exceptions. She understood the message. I'm watching you. The manager frantically began taking notes. Ares turned to leave. The retinue of assistants and lawyers who waited in the distance moved to accompany him, but before leaving, he stopped. He looked over his shoulder. Emily. She hated how her body reacted to her name and his voice. Don't think about running away again. The smile didn't reach his eyes. This time I'll know. And he left. Emily could only breathe when the doors closed. The air returned to her sore, aching lungs. Her hands trembled so much, she hid them in the pockets of her uniform. Do you know him? The colleague next to her asked curiously, excited, as if she had witnessed a scene from a soap opera. No, Emily lied. He confused me with someone. The lie scratched her throat. She looked at the clock. 4 hours until the end of her shift. 4 hours until she could pick up Leo from the sitter and go home. 4 hours pretending that the floor had not just opened under her feet. Emily returned to work, her hands still shaking. She tidied rooms. She changed sheets. She checked every detail as if on autopilot. And every second, she felt the invisible eyes of the predator on her back. He was back. And this time, she had nowhere to run. The clock was torture. Emily looked at the hands every 5 minutes. Every movement too slow. Every second stretched like rubber. 20 minutes until the end of her shift. 20 minutes to pick up Leo and disappear. She already had a plan. She would go out through the back. She would take the subway to the sitters. She would pick up her son. And tomorrow, she would call in her resignation. She would invent a family emergency. A sudden move. Anything to put distance between Leo and that hotel. Between Leo and the father who didn't know he existed. The day had been an exercise in survival. Ares appeared 3 times on the floor where she worked. Coincidence? Impossible. Each visit was a demonstration of power. He pretended to inspect rooms, ask questions to the manager, evaluate employees. But his eyes always found her. Always. Emily worked with her head down, invisible, efficient, trying to occupy as little space as possible on his radar. It didn't work. You were tense, he said at once, passing by her in the hallway. He didn't stop. He didn't wait for an answer. He just left the words in the air like poisonous smoke. She was tense. She was terrified. 16 minutes. Emily's cell phone vibrated in her pocket. She looked at the screen. An unknown number. She answered with her heart in her throat. Miss Dawson. The voice was young, nervous. This is Sophie, from the nursery. Her blood froze. What happened? Is Leo okay? The girl rushed. It's just that there was a mess. He escaped. I was signing some papers at the reception, and he just ran. Ran where? He said he wanted to see his mother. I tried to follow, but he's fast, and Emily was already running. The phone fell into her pocket. Her cart was left behind. The gray uniform was a blur through the corridors. No. The nursery was 3 blocks away. Leo knew the way. How many times had he asked where his mother worked? How many times had Emily pointed to the Harrington building through the subway window? He can't be here. Please. The elevator was too slow. Emily went down the stairs, 2 steps at a time. 3. Her heart exploding in her chest. She reached the lobby and froze. The scene was suspended in time like a photograph. Leo, her son, her secret. In the middle of the white marble lobby, and a meter away from him, motionless as a stone statue, was Ares Dracos. It had been a collision. Leo was running through the door. His eyes were looking for his mother. He didn't see the tall man in his path. He collided directly with his legs and fell, sitting on the floor, with a soft bump. Ares looked down, and the world stopped spinning. The boy raised his face, irritated by the fall. His eyebrows frowned on a face that was strangely familiar. Gray eyes, not brown like Emily's, not blue, not green, gray, like a storm over the Aegean, like the eyes that Ares saw in the mirror every morning. Leo got up on his own. He brushed the dust off his pants with his small hands. Then he crossed his arms and looked at the giant blocking his way. "You are too big," he said without any fear. "You are in my way." The voice was high-pitched, childish. But the posture was that of someone used to facing the world. Ares didn't answer. He couldn't. Something was happening inside him, something seismic. The pieces were reorganizing into an image that he had refused to see for 4 years. The boy had his eyes. He had his chin. He had his stubbornness, his challenging posture, his fists clenched when opposed. 3 years old, maybe 4, the right age. "Leo!" Emily's scream cut through the lobby. She crossed the space in seconds. She threw herself on her knees in front of her son, hands shaking as she checked if he was okay. Whole, uninjured. "You can't run away like that. I told you to wait for Sophie. I wanted you, Mom." His arms wrapped around her neck. Emily squeezed him. Too hard, too desperate. And then she felt it. The look. She raised her eyes slowly. Ares hadn't moved. He was exactly where Leo had collided with him, arms hanging at his sides, his face completely blank. But his eyes were on fire. The silence lasted an eternity. Employees passed by. Strangers. The world kept spinning. But there, in that triangle of marble and secrets, time had stopped. Emily stood up, Leo in her arms. The boy clung to her neck like a koala. "Excuse me," she said, her voice failing. "I need to go." She tried to move past Ares. He didn't move. "What's his name?" The question was low, controlled, more frightening than any scream. Emily swallowed hard. "It's not your concern." "Name." Leo raised his head from his mother's shoulder. He looked at the strange man with childish curiosity. "I am Leo," he said before Emily could stop him. "And you?" Ares didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on Emily, reading every micro-expression. Every tremor, every attempt to hide. "How old is he?" 3, Leo answered, showing his fingers. "Almost 4. Mom said she was going to bake a cake." The boy's smile was innocent. Ares' silence was deadly. Emily took a step back. "I need to go." "You're not going anywhere." It wasn't a request. It wasn't even an order. It was a fact. Ares approached. 1 step. His body blocked any escape route. And then he did something Emily didn't expect. He smiled at Leo. The smile wasn't warm. It wasn't paternal. It was calculated, studied. A predator learning the language of the prey. "Hello, Leo." The boy frowned, evaluating. "How you're very serious." "I know." Ares extended his hand. He touched Leo's coat. A casual gesture, almost distracted. Emily saw his fingers close around something, a strand of dark hair, loose on the fabric. Ares kept his hand in his pocket. "Beautiful coat." He said it as if nothing had happened. Emily felt her blood freeze. He knows. He knows. And he is collecting evidence. Ares stepped back. The smile disappeared as quickly as it had come. "Go home, Emily." The voice was soft, almost kind. "Take care of your son." She didn't wait for the second order. She turned and walked to the exit, each step controlled, each breath measured. Leo pressed against her chest, as if the whole world wanted to rip him away. At the door, she looked back. Ares was in the same spot, immobile. His gray eyes followed her every movement, his hand in his pocket, where the hair strand was waiting. Emily left for the cold of London, with her son in her arms and terror in her heart. She knew that look. She had seen it in Santorini, seconds before her life crumbled. It was the look of a man who had already made a decision. Ares Drakos wouldn't ask. He wouldn't beg. He wouldn't wait. He would simply take. And now, the only thing between him and Leo was her. The war had begun. The envelope arrived at 7 in the morning. Emily hadn't slept. She spent the whole night with Leo in her arms, watching him breathe, counting each eyelash, memorizing every detail as if she could lose him at any moment, because she could. The delivery man didn't ask for a signature. He just left the white envelope at the door and disappeared. No note, no identification. She didn't need it. Emily knew who it was from. Inside, a card, black letters on cream paper. My office, 2 o'clock. Don't be late. No address. He knew that she knew where to find him, arrogant even in silence. The headquarters of the Drakos Group in London occupied the top 10 floors of a skyscraper in Canary Wharf. Emily left Leo with the neighbor, a retired lady who loved the boy. She invented a work meeting, another lie for the pile. The elevator went up in silence, each floor 1 step closer to the abyss. The receptionist was waiting for her. "Miss Dawson, Mr. Drakos is waiting." No questions, no verification. Emily was expected, like a hostage being taken to court. Ares's office occupied the entire top floor, glass from floor to ceiling, a full view of London at her feet. Dark furniture, straight lines, no personal photographs, no touch of humanity. It was exactly as she imagined. Cold, Ares was standing by the window, his back to her, his hands in his pockets, his silhouette cut against the gray of the London sky. He didn't turn when she came in. "Close the door," Emily obeyed. The click sounded like a sentence. The silence stretched. She waited. She wouldn't give him the satisfaction of speaking first. She wouldn't beg. She wouldn't ask. She still had that. She still had her pride. Finally, Ares turned around. The gray eyes found her. Something different in them today. Something she couldn't identify immediately. He walked to the desk. He picked up a folder. He threw it onto the mahogany surface. "Open it." It wasn't a request. Emily stepped closer. Her legs were heavy. Each step was an effort. She opened the folder. The DNA test result was on the first page. 99.97% compatibility. Confirmed paternity. The words swam in front of her eyes. "You knew," Ares said, a low voice, too controlled. "You always knew." Emily closed the folder. "I tried to tell you. You didn't want to listen. I had a medical report." "It was wrong!" The scream escaped before she could stop it. 4 years of anger. 4 years in the dark. 4 years raising a child alone, while the father swam in billions. Everything exploded in those words. Ares didn't back down. The report was confirmed 3 times. And yet I got pregnant. Emily took a step forward. "Do you think I wanted this? Do you think I planned to get pregnant by a man who called me a liar? A gold digger? Who threw me on the street with nothing but the clothes on my back?" His eyes wavered. For a second, just a second. And then the mask returned. Ares circled the desk, approached her. Emily backed away, but he kept coming, until her back met the glass wall. London behind her, and the predator in front of her. "I made a mistake," he said. The words were correct. The tone was wrong. There was no regret. There was no genuine guilt. There was something worse. Hunger. "I should have investigated better. I should have done my own tests before." He paused, his jaw locked. "Before letting you go." "Letting me go." As if she had had a choice, as if he had not expelled her with screams. "You did not let me go," Emily said, her voice trembling with anger. "You threw me out. And you ran to the other side of Europe with my son. Your son? She laughed. Bitterly. Brokenly. You did not want him. You called him a lie, a scam. I did not know. Because you did not want to know. The silence that followed was deafening. Ares was too close, the heat of his body crossing the cold air of the office, his perfume invading her senses. Emily hated how her body reacted. She hated even more what she saw in his eyes. It was not guilt. It was not genuine regret. It was possessiveness. The same she saw at the wedding. The same that made her feel desired and suffocated at the same time. He did not want forgiveness. He wanted possession. What do you want, Ares? The question came out exhausted. He moved away. He returned to the desk. He sat in the chair like a king on his throne. You will come back to live with me. Emily blinked. What? You and Leo, in my house, as my family. The laugh that escaped her was hysterical. You are crazy. I am practical. You destroyed me. You destroyed everything we had. And now you want me to just come back? I'm not asking. The words froze the air. Emily faced him, looking for the man she had loved, the man who whispered in Greek at dawn. She did not find him. You cannot force me. Ares smiled. The smile had no warmth. There was no humor. There was victory. Yes, I can. He opened another folder. He slid a document across the desk. My lawyers have prepared a custody petition. Exclusive. His eyes found hers. You live in a one-room apartment in Whitechapel. You work 50 hours a week for a salary that barely pays the rent. Leo spends more time with sitters than with you. I do what I can, and I can do more. The cruelty was surgical. I can give him the best schools, the best doctors, travels, opportunities, everything you will never be able to offer. Emily felt the tears rise. She swallowed them. She would not give him that satisfaction. Any judge will look at the facts, Ares continued. A poor and exhausted mother. A billionaire father with unlimited resources. He leaned forward. How long do you think this battle will last, Emily? How much can you pay in lawyers? Because I can drag this out for years. Decades. Until you have nothing left. You wouldn't do that. No? His eyes were stone. Try to stop me and find out. The silence weighed like lead. Emily looked at the document on the desk, the letters blurred by the tears she refused to shed. He was right. She had no resources. She had no lawyers. She had nothing but a desperate love for Leo. And love did not win battles against billionaires. What exactly do you want? The question was defeated. Ares stood up. He walked around the desk again. He stopped in front of her, too close, as always. You come back to live with me, as my wife. In the eyes of the world, we are a united family. Leo grows up with both parents, with all the advantages my name can give. And if I refuse? You will not refuse. He extended his hand. His fingers touched her chin. They tilted her face up until their eyes met. The touch burned. Because you know I'm going to win, he said low, and you prefer to be on the inside, protecting him, than on the outside, without being able to do anything. Emily wanted to scream. She wanted to hit him. She wanted to claw his eyes out. But he was right. On the outside, she would lose Leo forever. On the inside, there was a chance, a minimal chance to protect her child, to survive. She hated every cell of her own body when she opened her mouth. All right. Victory shone in his eyes. All right, she repeated. I'll come back. But not for you, for him, only for him. Ares released her chin. For now, he said. That's enough. And Emily knew with cold certainty that she had just entered the lion's cage. The door only locked from the inside, and the key was in his pocket. The mansion looked like a monument to excess. There was no other word. 4 floors in Kensington, gardens that looked like parks, marble imported from Italy. Chandeliers that cost more than the apartment where Emily had lived for 4 years. Leo stopped at the entrance with his eyes wide open. "Mom, is this a castle?" Emily held his hand tighter. "It's a house." "It's our house," Aries corrected, appearing behind them. Ours scratched Emily's ears like a nail on glass. Leo's room was on the 2nd floor. Aries had prepared it before they arrived. Or rather, he had ordered it prepared. An entire team working for 2 days to turn the space into a child's dream. A racing, car-shaped bed. A television the size of the wall. Shelves full of toys still in their boxes. Tablets. Video games. A professional telescope pointed out the window. Leo entered slowly. He looked around with that serious expression that reminded her so much of his father. Aries waited at the door, his shoulders tense, his jaw locked. Emily recognized his posture. It was the same as when he waited for results from important negotiations. The boy walked among the toys. He touched the remote control car, the robot that walked on its own, the construction kit with 1,000 pieces. Then he went to the small suitcase Emily had brought. He opened it. He took out a stuffed teddy bear, worn fur, a loose eye, stuffing coming out of the belly. Mr. Whiskers. The only toy she could give him. Bought at a flea market when Leo was 6 months old. The boy hugged the bear against his chest and smiled. "I like the room. But Mr. Whiskers sleeps with me, okay?" Aries' expression faltered. Emily felt a strange sensation. Satisfaction. It was mean, but maybe it was validation. Money didn't buy everything. She knew that. Aries was about to learn it. The first days were a cold war. Emily and Leo occupied the 2nd floor, Aries the 3rd. They met at meals, in the corridors, in the inevitable moments of a shared house. Each meeting was a battle. "Leo needs a better school," Aries said at breakfast. "I already got in touch with Westminster Academy." "He likes his school." "His school is mediocre. His school has his friends." Aries lowered the newspaper. "He will make new friends." Emily put her cup on the table too hard. "You can't just decide his life without consulting me." "I can." His look challenged her, reminded her. "You are here because I allow it." Emily swallowed her response. Leo ate his eggs, a silent war between parents. Aries tried. Emily hated to admit it, but he tried. He appeared in Leo's room with gifts, an electric train that occupied half the floor, a bicycle with wheels that cost more than a used car, a robotic dog that responded to voice commands. Leo looked at the gifts politely. "Thank you," he said as Emily had taught him, and returned to playing with Mr. Whiskers. Aries' frustration was almost palpable. Emily saw it in his tense shoulders, in his clenched jaw, in the way he looked at the teddy bear as if it were a rival. One night, she found him in the hallway, standing in front of Leo's room, watching through the gap in the door. The boy was sleeping with the teddy bear hugged tight. He did not see her immediately, and for a moment, just a moment, the mask fell. There was something there, something broken, something that almost looked like pain. Then he turned around. He saw her, and the cold returned like a steel curtain. He should be sleeping at 8 o'clock. Children do not run on an executive schedule. His gaze went through her, slowly, cataloging. Emily was in a t-shirt, nothing revealing, white cotton down to the knees, but suddenly she felt naked. "Good night, Emily." The name on his lips was a provocation. She did not answer. The touches began in the 2nd week. Subtle, almost accidental. The brushing of fingers when passing the salt at dinner. Emily pretended not to notice. The hand on her back to guide her through a door. Emily moved away too fast. The arm extended to pick up something on the shelf above her in the kitchen, his body forming a temporary cage. "Excuse me," she murmured, escaping under his arm. Aries smiled. He knew exactly what he was doing. Emily hated him. She repeated it to herself as a mantra, in the early mornings especially, in the hot showers, in the moments when her skin was still burning where he had touched her. But her body did not listen. Her body remembered. It remembered the nights in Santorini, his hands in her hair, the whispers in Greek, the way he looked at her as if she were the most precious thing in the universe. Lies. All lies. The man who loved her did not exist. Maybe he never had. What was left was the predator, the manipulator, the billionaire who wanted her back, not for love but for possession. Emily knew that. Why then did her heart accelerate when he entered the room? Why did her skin tingle when he got too close? Why did she dream of him? Dreams that made her wake up breathless and ashamed. In the third week, Leo asked a question. They were in the garden. Emily was pushing the swing while the boy laughed. "Mom, is Ares my father?" The swing stopped. Emily felt her heart freeze. "Why do you ask that, love? He has the same eyes as mine. Sophie from the nursery said I have my father's eyes." Leo was too smart, too observant, like his father. Emily knelt in front of him. "Yes, my love, Ares is your father." The boy processed the information. No drama, no tears. "And why didn't he live with us before? Why didn't he love me?" "He didn't love you. He threw us out like garbage." "It's complicated, Leo. Adult stuff. But now he wants to live with us?" "It seems so." Leo kicked his legs, thoughtful. "I think he's sad," he finally said. Emily blinked. "Sad? He doesn't know how to play. He looks at me without knowing what to do." Leo hugged Mr. Whiskers. "I don't think anyone taught him." Emily's heart tightened. She looked at the mansion. In the third-floor window, a silhouette watched. Ares, always watching, always waiting. The question was, waiting for what? The scream cut through the dawn. Emily woke up with her heart in her throat. Mother's instinct. 4 years of training her body to wake up to the slightest sound. Leo. She jumped out of bed, barefoot on the cold floor, the dark corridor. But when she got to her son's room, she stopped. The door was open, and Ares was already there. He didn't see her right away. He was sitting on the edge of the small bed, his huge body curved over the child he was caressing. His hands, those hands that signed contracts worth billions, trembled in the air, not knowing where to land. "Leo." His voice was strange, soft, uncertain. "It was just a dream," the boy cried with his face buried in the pillow. Mr. Whiskers was pressed against his chest. "There was a monster," sobbed Leo. "He wanted to take my mother away." Ares swallowed hard. Emily saw the movement of his throat, the tightening of his jaw. "Monsters are not real." "They are. I saw them. In dreams they seem real, but when you wake up, they go away." Leo raised his face. Moist cheeks, gray eyes identical to his father's, filled with fear. "And if they come back?" Ares hesitated. Emily knew that hesitation. It was the pause of someone who did not know what to do. Of someone who had never comforted a child. Of someone who had probably never been comforted. Then something changed. Ari's shoulders relaxed. A decision was made. He leaned in, slowly, carefully, as if Leo were made of crystal. "If they come back," he said in a low voice, "I'll be here. Do you promise?" "I promise." Leo studied his father's face, evaluating, deciding if he could trust him. Then he extended his arms. "Stay with me until I go to sleep?" Emily held her breath. Ares looked at the extended arms, as if they were a complex equation, a business problem that he did not know how to solve. Then, slowly, he lay down next to his son. The bed was too small. His body took up almost all the space. His feet hung off the mattress. His posture was rigid, awkward. But he was there. Leo leaned against his father's chest. "Natural, fearless. You are warm," he murmured, his eyes already closing. Ares did not answer. But Emily saw. She saw his hand rise slowly, landing on his son's back, fingers splayed in protection. She saw his eyes close, his forehead leaning against Leo's head. She saw the relentless giant surrender to a 3-year-old, and she felt the floor disappear. She should go away. Go back to her room. Pretend she saw nothing. Keep the walls up. But her feet did not obey. Emily stood at the door, watching, her chest tight with something she refused to name. Ares began to hum, words in Greek, low, rhythmic, an old song she had never heard. His voice was imperfect, hoarse, out of tune. It was the most beautiful thing Emily had ever heard. Leo fell asleep in minutes. His breathing calmed. The sobs disappeared. The little body relaxed against his father. Ares did not stop singing. He went on for longer, as if he were memorizing the moment, as if he were afraid that, when he stopped, everything would disappear. Emily moved. One step, the floorboard creaked. Ares' eyes opened. They found hers in the dark. Neither of them spoke. The silence was different this time. There was no war. There were no accusations. There were no masks. Only two parents looking at each other over their sleeping child's head. Ares did not get up. He did not justify himself. He did not turn vulnerability into a weapon. He just looked at her. And for the first time in 4 years, Emily saw the man, not the billionaire, not the predator, not the monster that had destroyed her, the broken man who did not know how to be a father, who was trying anyway, who held the child as if he were the most precious thing in the world. Because he was, her heart hesitated. No, the panic rose instantly. Don't do this. Don't forgive him. Do not forget. She remembered. She forced herself to remember. The night in Santorini, the contempt in his eyes, the words that cut her like knives, the door closing, the cold, the loneliness. He had destroyed her, not with anger, with certainty, absolute certainty that she was a liar, a scammer, unworthy. To forgive would be to betray herself. It would be to betray Leo. It would be to return the gun to the hands of the man who had already proven capable of using it. Emily could not forgive. It was too dangerous. But her heart did not listen to reason. It never did. Ares moved slowly. He moved away from Leo without waking him up. He covered the boy with the blanket. He put Mr. Whiskers next to him. Then he walked to the door. To her, he stopped inches away, too close, as always. "Did you hear?" he said. It was not a question. Yes. The song was from my grandmother. His eyes were strange, distant. She sang it when I had nightmares. I thought I had forgotten it. Emily did not know what to say. She did not know what to do with this information, with this unexpected humanity. "He needed you," she finally said. "You came." I heard the scream. I was awake. "Why?" The question escaped before she could stop it. Ares looked at her, his face half illuminated by the weak light of the corridor. "Why haven't I slept well since you came back?" The confession hung in the air. Emily felt her heart beat. "Ares." No words were needed. He moved away. A step. The distance returned. "Good night, Emily." He walked toward his own room, his silhouette disappearing in the dark. Emily stood still. The silent corridor. Her heart at war. From Leo's room, the boy's soft breathing came, sleeping in peace. She looked back, to the small bed, to the son who finally had a father, an imperfect father, broken, dangerous, but a father, and she was beginning to understand. This was the real danger. It was not the blackmail. It was not the lawyers. It was this. These moments, these cracks in the armor, these crumbs of humanity. That made hate seem too tiring. Emily returned to her own room, lay in bed, and spent hours looking at the ceiling, trying to convince her heart of something it no longer wanted to believe, that Ares Dracos was the enemy, that forgiving was losing, that love, that old love that she swore she had buried, was not slowly crawling back to the surface. "Liar," a voice whispered inside her. "You know you are." Emily closed her eyes. The silent truce had begun, and she had no idea how to survive it. The dress was an armor, dark red, discreet neckline, bare back to the waist. Emily did not choose it. It appeared in her room 2 hours before the event with a card. Use this. She wanted to refuse. She wanted to come down in jeans and a t-shirt just to see him lose his composure. But Leo was with the nanny, smiling when she left the room. Mom, you look like a princess, so she wore the dress. For Leo. Just for Leo. The gala was at the Victoria and Albert Museum. Old chandeliers, champagne and French. 400 guests in costumes that cost fortunes. The London elite gathered for a beneficial cause that probably no one there really cared about. Emily felt like a fraud. 4 years ago, she cleaned rooms for people like this. She changed sheets. She picked up wet towels. She was invisible. Now she was on the arm of Ares Drakos, the billionaire's wife. The lie burned in her throat. Ares placed his hand on her back, skin against skin. The touch burned where his fingers found the naked flesh. Smile, he murmured. His lips were too close to her ear. Everyone is watching us. I'm smiling. It feels like I want to kill someone. I'm feeling that too. His laugh was low, unexpected. It vibrated against her skin. Emily hated the way her body reacted. The introductions were a blur. Lords, ladies, CEOs, heirs, all wanting a moment with Ares Drakos, all looking at her with eyes that varied from curiosity to disdain. Who is she? Where did she come from? What did he see in her? Emily read the questions in their eyes. She kept her chin up, her spine straight. Years of humiliation had taught her to appear unwavering, even when she was crumbling inside. Ares noticed. She felt it. His hand lightly squeezed her waist every time someone underestimated her. His fingers drew circles on her naked skin as if to say, I know. I see. It was confusing. It was disturbing. It was almost protection. The problem began at 10 o'clock. Emily went to the bar to get water. Ares was stuck in a conversation with Japanese investors. She took the opportunity to breathe. Excuse me. The voice came from behind her. Emily turned around. The man was handsome. Blonde. Blue eyes. A commercial toothpaste smile. Excuse the intrusion, he said, reaching out. Sebastian Whitmore. And you are the most beautiful woman in this room. The line was cheesy. The tone was too confident. Emily did not shake his hand. Emily Drakos. The last name came out before she could think. Instinctive protection. Sebastian did not move. Ah, the mysterious Mrs. Drakos. His eyes went down her dress. They took a long time on her naked back. They rose slowly. Old Ares is luckier than he deserves. He is not old. Compared to me, he is. His smile was predatory. Emily stepped away from the bar. It was a pleasure to meet you. I need to find my husband. Sebastian held her wrist, gentle but firm. Just one dance, not to say I wasted the whole night. I do not dance. I can teach you. She said no. The voice cut the air like a blade. Sebastian released Emily's wrist as if it had given him a shock. Ares was behind her. Emily did not hear him approach. She did not hear the steps. He just appeared, like a shadow taking shape. His eyes were fixed on Sebastian. Gray, cold, mortal. Whitmore, said Ares. The name sounded like a threat. Drakos. Sebastian tried to keep his composure, but his voice faltered. I was just meeting your charming wife. You were touching my wife. The silence around them grew. People began to notice, to observe. Sebastian raised his hands in surrender. No offense, just being cordial. Be cordial far away from her. The order allowed no discussion. Sebastian whispered a farewell and disappeared into the crowd. Emily released the breath she did not know she was holding. Was that necessary? Ares looked at her. What she saw in his eyes made her retreat. It was not anger. It was something more primitive, more dangerous. Hunger. Come, he said. He did not expect an answer. He held her waist and guided her through the hall. His fingers squeezed the naked skin too hard. Too much possessiveness. Ares, do not speak. They stopped near a column, semi-hidden. He turned her back to the party, his body forming a wall behind her. "What are you doing?" His lips touched her ear. Emily froze. "You are mine," he whispered, "only for her." "Do you understand that? I am not yours." "No?" His hand went up her back, slowly, fingers tracing her spine. Emily trembled. "Everyone in this room is looking at you," Ares continued. The deep voice was against her skin. "Everyone wanting what is mine. You do not have me? Yes, I do." His lips went down her neck. Not a kiss, just a brush, the ghost of a touch that made the air disappear from her lungs. "Ares, stop!" "Do you want me to stop?" The question was a trap. She knew it. He knew it. Yes, Emily lied. He laughed against her skin. Liar. The car was waiting at the exit. Emily got in first. Ares followed. The door closed. The driver was separated by a dark partition. Total privacy. The silence was suffocating. "That was humiliating," Emily shot, turning to him. "You treated me as property. You are my wife. On paper, only on paper." His eyes shone. "You use my name, live in my house, sleep under my roof." He leaned forward. "This is more than paper. It's a prison with everything you need, except freedom, except another man touching you." The accusation made her stop. "I didn't do anything." "He touched you. For 2 seconds. 2 seconds too many." Ares moved across the seat. Emily retreated. Her back found the door. No way out. "You are jealous," she said. "Incredible. Jealous of a stranger I didn't even want to meet." "I'm not jealous." "So what was that?" Their faces were too close. Emily saw every detail. The lines around his eyes, the stubble, the muscle pulsing in his jaw. "That," Ares said in a low voice, "was me reminding everyone who you belong to. I don't belong to anyone. You belong to me." "You threw me out!" The scream filled the car. 4 years of compressed pain exploding in 5 words. Ares stopped. His breathing was heavy, mixing with hers. "I know," he said. The admission was a blow. "I know," he repeated, "and it won't happen again." "Why? Because now there is Leo? Because I didn't survive the first time?" The air disappeared. Emily blinked. Processing. "What?" Ares raised his hand. His fingers touched her face, her jaw, her cheek. "Do you think it was easy for me?" His voice was hoarse, broken. "Do you think I kicked you out and moved on?" I destroyed my office that night. I broke every damn piece of furniture. I drank until I blacked out. And when I woke up, you were gone." His eyes pierced hers. "And I let you go, because I was too proud to go back." Emily couldn't breathe. His lips were a millimeter from hers. "I was wrong," Ares whispered. "Wrong about everything." The air between them was electric, fuel waiting for a spark. Emily felt her body tilt, unwillingly, magnetically. Her lips almost touched his. The car stopped. "We're here, sir." The driver's voice through the intercom shattered the moment. Ares retreated. His eyes closed, his jaw locked. Emily was suffocating against the door. He opened his eyes. He looked at her. The desire there was unmistakable. Cruel. Hungry. "Go to sleep, Emily." The voice was harsh, controlled by hard feelings. "Ares. Now." He opened the door next to him. He stepped out into the night. Emily stayed in the car, her heart pounding, her lips tingling for the kiss that didn't happen. "I hate him." She repeated it as she climbed the stairs. She repeated it while she took off her dress. She repeated it while she lay in bed, her whole body on fire. "I hate him." But the lie had never seemed so fragile. 3 days of silence, of averted looks, of bodies that avoided each other in corridors that were too wide. 3 days since the almost kiss in the car. Emily couldn't sleep. She couldn't eat. She couldn't look at him without remembering the heat of his breath against her lips. Tension. It was a living animal, growing, getting fatter with every second of denied proximity. Something was going to break. It was just a matter of time. It happened on a Thursday. Leo was at school. The mansion was empty except for the two of them. Emily went down to the kitchen at 3 in the afternoon, thinking that Aries would be at the office. He was sitting at the table, alone, a bottle of whiskey half empty, the glass full. 3 in the afternoon. "You're drinking," she said. Stupid. Obvious. Aries didn't raise his eyes. Brilliant observation. It's mid-afternoon. And then? Emily should leave. Climb the stairs. Lock herself in her room. Keep the distance that was keeping them alive. But something in her, something tired, something furious, refused. "What's going on with you?" Aries finally looked at her. His eyes were red, tired. There was a vulnerability there that she had never seen before. "Go away, Emily." "No, I'm not asking. And I'm not obeying." She approached the table, pulled out a chair, sat in front of him. He faced her, surprised, irritated. "What do you want?" "The truth." "About what?" "About everything." The silence stretched. Aries drank the whiskey in one gulp, filled the glass again. "You don't want the truth. I deserve the truth. You deserve a lot that I can't give." The admission gave her pause. "So, give me that." Emily leaned forward. "Give me an explanation." 4 years, Aries. 4 years I woke up every morning asking myself why. Why did you hate me so much? Why didn't you give me a chance to explain? I didn't hate you. You threw me onto the street because I loved you. The scream echoed through the kitchen. Emily froze. Aries closed his eyes. His hand trembled around the glass. "I loved you," he repeated, his voice broken. "More than I've ever loved anything in my life." The silence that followed was of another kind. It wasn't war. It wasn't tension. It was shock. "You..." Emily couldn't form sentences. "You don't act like that when you love someone." "I know. You destroyed me. I know. You called me a liar. A scammer. I know what I did." Aries stood up. The chair fell backwards with a bang. "You think I don't remember? You think I don't relive that night every time I close my eyes?" He started walking, from one side to the other, a caged animal. "I was 22 when I received the diagnosis. 22! His voice was rough, torn by force. "A motorcycle accident, internal hemorrhaging. The doctor saved my life but said I would never have children. Never." Emily didn't move. "I did tests every year the same result. 0 count. Biological impossibility. It wasn't an opinion. It was science. A fact. Irrefutable." He stopped. He looked at her. "And then you showed up." Aries' voice changed. Lower, rougher. "You showed up out of nowhere. A waitress, an employee who shouldn't even have been on my radar. And suddenly, I couldn't stop thinking about you." Emily felt her heart tighten. "I married you in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I never did anything without planning, without analysis, without control. I threw everything away for you." He laughed, bitterly. "And I was happy. For the first time in my life, I was genuinely happy." "Aries. And then you told me you were pregnant." The air froze. "The same week I got another report confirming it was impossible." His eyes found hers. "Do you understand? The same week. I had the scientific proof that I couldn't be a father. And you were telling me you were carrying my son." Emily felt the tears rise. "I didn't. The mathematics didn't add up. It couldn't add up." His voice cracked. "And I thought you had deceived me. That the marriage, the love, everything was a lie. A con. That I had been an idiot long enough to fall for it. It wasn't a lie." "I know that now," his scream echoed. Then silence. Aries collapsed into the chair, his head between his hands. "I know," he repeated, whispering. "I look at Leo and see my face, my eyes, my gestures, And I know I was wrong. That the doctors were wrong. That I destroyed the only good thing I ever had because I was too cowardly to believe in a miracle. Emily couldn't breathe. Years of anger, years of hurt, years of building walls around her heart. And now, seeing him broken in front of her, the walls cracked. "You should have believed me." Her voice came out small, wet. "I know. You should have done the test before throwing me out. I know. You should have given me a chance. I know." He raised his head, his eyes shone, wet. Emily had never seen him cry. "I was wrong," Aries said. Simple. Devastating. "I was wrong in every way possible, and there is no excuse. There is no justification. I loved you, and that's why I destroyed you, because my love is like that. Broken. Toxic. Unable to—" "Stop." Emily stood up. Her legs were shaking, her face wet with tears she didn't even realize she was shedding. "Stop talking." She crossed the distance between them. Aries looked at her from below. Vulnerable. Exposed. "Emily." "4 years," she said, her voice breaking. "4 years I hated you. 4 years I told myself you were a monster. I am. You're not." She touched his face. Aries closed his eyes. He leaned against her hand, as if it were the only thing keeping him standing. "You are an idiot," Emily whispered. "A proud and broken idiot who destroyed us out of fear. I know, and I should hate you. You should, but I can't anymore." His eyes opened. Emily saw everything there: regret, pain, the hope he tried to hide, and something else, something that had never died. The kiss was not gentle. It was desperate, hungry. 4 years of longing compressed into a single moment. Aries stood up without letting go of her mouth, his hands on her face, in her hair, on her waist, as if he needed to touch everything at the same time to be sure it was real. Emily clung to him, her nails on his shoulders, her whole body shaking. He tasted like whiskey and regret. She tasted like tears and surrender. Aries pressed her against the wall, his whole body covering hers. The kiss deepened, tongues meeting, teeth brushing, breaths mixing. "Emily," he moaned against her mouth. "God, Emily." She did not answer with words. She answered by pulling him closer. She answered with her hands climbing his back. She answered with 4 years of loneliness finally finding an end. When they separated, both were breathless, heads leaning together, breaths mixed, hearts beating. "This does not change anything," Emily whispered. "A lie." "It changes everything," Aries answered. "The truth." He kissed her again. Slower this time, with reverence, with promise. And Emily knew, with a certainty that terrified her, that there was no turning back. The wall had fallen. She was lost. The kiss did not stop. It changed form, from despair to hunger. From hunger to need. A need that burned, that consumed, that no longer accepted being denied. Aries lifted her from the floor. Emily's legs wrapped around his waist by instinct, her body remembering what her mind had tried to forget. He climbed the stairs without letting go of her mouth, firm steps, determined, as if he knew exactly where he was going. His room. The door opened, closed, and the world outside ceased to exist. The bed was huge. Emily fell onto the dark sheets. Aries was on her. His weight was familiar and new at the same time. He stopped. He moved his face away. He looked at her. His gray eyes were different. No armor. No cold. Just him. Emily. The name on his lips was a prayer. "If you want to stop." "I don't want to." "Are you sure?" Aries. Stop thinking. The clothes left them slowly, not torn, removed, as if each piece were a layer of protection that needed to be gently discarded. Aries took off her blouse. He stopped. He looked. 4 years had changed Emily's body. Pregnancy, motherhood, sleepless nights, Missed meals, she was ashamed, starting to cover her chest. No, he said, reading her thought. Don't hide it. His lips went down her neck, her shoulder, her collarbone. You are more beautiful now, he muttered against her skin. More real. Emily closed her eyes. His hands continued, mapping, rediscovering, asking permission with each touch. It was different from before. In Santorini, he had possessed her, taken her, consumed her with the urgency of those afraid to lose. Now he loved her. His shirt was next. Emily pulled it over his head, her fingers shaking. Ares' chest was exactly as she remembered. Broad, defined, with the scar from the motorcycle accident cutting across the left side. She traced the mark with her fingers. He shivered. You never told me, she whispered, about the accident. I never told anyone. Why? He covered her hand with his, pressed it against his chest. Because it was a weakness, a failure. Ares, I built an entire empire to prove that I was not broken. His eyes found hers, and then you showed up, and I found out that all the money in the world didn't matter, because the only thing I wanted was you. Emily felt the tears come back. She pulled him down, kissed him with all she had. The rest of the clothes disappeared. Skin against skin, heat against heat. Ares moved slowly, deliberate, each touch an apology, each kiss a request for forgiveness. Sorry for not believing. His lips on her forehead. Sorry for hurting you, his fingers intertwined with hers. Sorry for wasting 4 years, his whole body involving hers. Emily felt everything, each unspoken emotion, each regret, each silent promise. She had hated him for so long, had built walls, trenches, entire fortresses around her heart. And now, in his arms, everything crumbled. When they finally became one, Emily forgot how to breathe. It wasn't just physical, it was more. It was the feeling of going home after years of being lost. It was finding the missing piece. It was looking into his eyes and seeing, really seeing, that he was as broken as she was, and that maybe, together, they could rebuild themselves. Look at me, Ares asked. His voice was hoarse. Don't close your eyes, Emily obeyed. What she saw destroyed her and rebuilt her at the same time. Vulnerability, fear, hope, love. He still loved her. Maybe he had never stopped. The rhythm was slow, waves rising, descending, building, falling. There was no rush, no urgency, just two bodies relearning a language they had forgotten. Ares murmured in Greek, words that Emily didn't understand, but felt. Ancient words, sacred. She answered with sighs, with nails in his back, with his name whispered like a prayer. The world shrank to that bed. That moment, those two bodies trying to fix what they had destroyed. The climax came like a wave, not violent, not explosive, gentle, healing, like warm water washing away old wounds. Emily lay in his arms, and for the first time in 4 years, she didn't feel fear. She didn't feel anger. She felt peace. Then the silence, bodies intertwined in the dark sheets, breathing calmed, hearts slowed. Ares held her as if she would disappear if he let go. Emily let him, her head on his chest, her fingers on his scar, the constant beating against her ear. I never stopped, he said, breaking the silence. What? Loving you. The words were simple. Their weight was immense. Emily raised her head. She looked at him. I tried, Ares continued. I tried to hate you, to forget you, to move on. His hand caressed her face. I couldn't. Every woman I looked at was wrong because it wasn't you. Ares, I know I still don't deserve you. Emily studied his face, the tired eyes, the vulnerability he hid from the whole world. But he showed it to her. She thought of Santorini, of the lightning wedding, of the brief happiness, of the destruction. She thought of the lonely nights in London, of the birth without anyone holding her hand, of the first steps of Leo that Ares didn't see. She thought of the anger, of the hurt, of the hatred that kept her standing. And she thought of now, of this broken man who was trying to be better, who comforted his son in the dark, who confessed his fears, who asked for forgiveness with his body because he didn't know how to ask with words. "Love didn't die," she finally said. Ares held his breath. "I wanted it to die. I tried to kill it, to bury it." Emily touched his chest, over his heart. But it was only wounded, waiting. Waiting for what? This, she kissed him. Soft, slow, with a taste of the future. When he moved away, his eyes shone. "I will spend the rest of my life deserving you." He said it. It wasn't a promise. It was an oath. Emily put her head on his chest again. She closed her eyes. And for the first time in 4 years, she slept in peace. The morning light came through the curtains. Emily woke up slowly, disoriented for a moment. The wrong room, the wrong bed, the warm body next to her. Ares. He was still sleeping. A relaxed face. The lines of tension softened. He looked younger like this. More human. Emily stared. How many mornings had she dreamed of this in Santorini? How many times did she wake up in London waiting to find him next to her, and finding only emptiness? Now he was there, real, imperfect, hers. Ares opened his eyes. The gray ones found the brown ones. Neither of them spoke. They didn't need to. He extended his hand, touched her face, fingers tracing her cheek as if he were memorizing it. "Good morning." The voice was hoarse, soft in a way that Emily rarely heard. "Good morning." "You stayed." "I stayed." His smile was small, almost shy. "I thought I would wake up and you would have left. I thought about it. And I decided to stay." He pulled her close. His lips found her forehead. "Thank you." The breakfast was silent. Leo was still sleeping. The house was quiet. Only the two of them in the huge kitchen with coffee and toast, and the weight of everything that still needed to be said. Ares put a folder on the table. Emily looked at it. "What is this?" "Open it." She hesitated. Folders from him never brought good things. The last one contained blackmail, but something in his eyes was different. She opened it. Legal documents, dozens of pages, signatures, terms that she did not fully understand. Ares. "What?" "The first section," he said carefully. "It's a property transfer. 20% of the Dracos Group now belongs to Leo, in an irrevocable trust. No one can touch it, not me." Emily blinked. "What?" "The second section is for you." He turned the pages. He pointed. "Properties in London, Paris, and Santorini. Bank accounts exclusively in your name. Enough for you to never need to work again. Never depend on anyone again." Emily could not process it. I do not understand." Ares got up. He walked around the table. He knelt in front of her. The billionaire. The magnate. The man who built an empire with his own hands. On his knees. "This is not a payment," he said. His voice was hoarse. "It is not compensation for what I did. Nothing can compensate for that. So what is it?" "Freedom." The word soared in the air. "I brought you here with blackmail." Ares continued. "I threatened you. I cornered you. I took all your options." Emily felt her eyes burn. "I know. And it was wrong. Everything was wrong." He held her hands. "I want you to have power. I want you to be able to leave tomorrow if you want. I want you never again to be controlled or manipulated. By no one, not even by me. Especially by me." The silence stretched. "I do not want your money, Ares." "I know. That's why I'm giving it." She frowned. "It does not make sense." "It makes perfect sense." He squeezed her hands. "If you stay with me now, it will not be because you have no choice. It will be because you want to, because you chose me, not the golden cage. Me." Emily looked at him. The man who had destroyed her life. The man who had spent weeks trying to rebuild it. the man who was now on his knees offering the only thing she ever asked for. Control over her own life, over her own destiny. There's one more thing. Aries let go of her hands. He took a piece of paper out of his pocket. The blackmail contract. The document that had forced her to return. He held it in front of her and tore it. Once, twice, until only confetti remained. The pieces fell to the ground like snow. "It's over," he said. "You are free." Emily looked at the pieces. Weeks of fear, of anger, of impotence, destroyed in seconds. Why now? Because I finally understood. Understand what? Aries looked at her. His eyes shone with something she recognized. Love. Pure, imperfect, real. That you can't love someone you imprison. His voice failed. That I prefer to lose you free than to keep you trapped. That if you leave now, at least it will be your choice. Emily stood up. Aries remained on his knees, waiting, accepting any verdict. She looked at the documents on the table, at the pieces of the contract on the floor, at the man who had dismantled his own power, piece by piece. She thought about leaving. She thought about taking Leo and disappearing, starting over somewhere far away, using the money he offered to build a life without him. She could. For the first time, she really could. And that's what made her stay. Emily knelt in front of him, faces on the same level, eyes meeting. "You are an idiot," she said. "I know. You almost destroyed us. I know. And it will take years for me to trust you completely again. I know. But I choose to stay." The air came out of Ari's lungs as if he had been punched. "Emily." "Not because I need to." She touched his face. "Because I want to. Because under all this arrogance and fear, there is a man who is worth it. A man who comforted our son in the dark, who sang ancient Greek songs, who just gave up all the power he had over me." Tears fell down Aries' face. He did not hide them. "I love you," he said. Broken, whole. "I love you, Emily. And I will spend every day proving it. So prove it." She kissed him. "Mom?" "Dad?" Leo's voice came from the door. The two moved away. They looked at the boy in his pajamas, rubbing his eyes, Mr. Whiskers hanging from his hand. "Why are you on the floor?" Emily laughed, the sound bubbling from somewhere she thought had gone dry. "We were talking, love. On the floor." Sometimes adults do strange things. Leo seemed to consider that. "Can I have breakfast?" Aries stood up. He extended his hand to Emily. He pulled her up. "You can have whatever you want." He said it to the boy. "Chocolate." "Just a little." Leo smiled, the smile that illuminated the whole world. He ran to the table. He climbed into the chair. He began to stack toast on his plate. Emily watched him. Aries watched her watching him, and something clicked. Ari's phone rang. The sound cut through the kitchen, loud, insistent. The corporate ringtone that had ruled his life for decades. Emily saw the old habits activate. Tense shoulders, his hand going automatically to his pocket. But then he stopped. He looked at the phone, at the screen showing the name of an important executive, and he hung up. The silence returned. Emily faced him. "You will not answer?" "No." He threw the phone onto the couch, far away, forgotten. "But it may be important." Aries looked at her, at Leo, who was now licking jam off his face. Nothing is more important than this. He sat on the floor, the billionaire in the custom suit, sitting on the cold kitchen floor. "Leo," the boy looked down. "Want to play?" Leo's eyes lit up. "At what?" "Whatever you want." "Can I teach you to play with Mr. Whiskers?" "You can." Leo climbed down from the chair. He sat on the floor next to his father. He put the teddy bear between the two. "You have to make his voice," he explained seriously. "Like this, okay?" And he began to demonstrate. Emily watched from the table. The most powerful man she knew, sitting on the floor, trying to do a teddy bear's voice while a 3-year-old boy corrected him. It was ridiculous. It was perfect. Aries raised his eyes. He found hers, and he smiled. Not the smile of a predator. Not the smile of business. Not the smile that hid more than it showed. A real smile of peace, of homecoming. Emily stood up. She walked to them. She sat on the floor next to them. Aries passed his arm around her. He pulled her close. Leo kept playing between them. Leo was the weight of the moment. Leo was the war that had ended. Leo was the scars that were beginning to heal. He only knew that his mother was there, that his father was there, that Mr. Whiskers was making fun of everyone, and that for the first time, they were a family. The sunlight came through the window. Golden, warm, bathing the three of them on the kitchen floor. Emily closed her eyes. She put her head on Aries' shoulder. She felt his arm tighten around her. The empire could wait. The world could wait. There, at that moment, nothing else existed. Just them. Just that. Just love. Imperfect. Wounded. Reborn. The true fortune. If this story moved you, comment where you are watching from. Like, subscribe, and activate the bell. And if you love intense romances and loves that survive the impossible, you are in the right place. Until the next story. And may love always find you. Would you like me to translate another chapter or a different story for you?